A very good evening, friends. So today, continuing with the cricket game, I'll be talking about bowling. So the learning outcomes in this lecture will be participants will understand after going through this video lecture the biomechanics concept behind the bowling. What is the concept? What is the physics behind the bowling? You will understand after going through this lecture. Then, what are the factors responsible for achieving high performance in fast bowling or pace bowling? What are those factors which we should develop or we should care for with regard to biomechanics so that we can enhance our performance with respect to high fast bowling? And lastly, factor responsible for spin bowling too. We'll discover all these three because both of these bowling requirements have altogether different factors, so you will know the difference, and hence the coaching for both of these is also different. Now before going towards bowling, as I told you that many multiple concepts are there in the biomechanics, and with each game some one or more concepts are linked. So in this bowling also, like in the cricket, we studied about projectile motion, and in this case, in the case of bowling, there are some concepts. So I'll discuss them first, then you can link them very easily. So first one is your law of conservation of momentum. So what is that? So it simply means that total momentum remains same throughout. Before collision, if the two balls collide, make an impact, so what are the momentum they have earlier, the same momentum will be conserved after the collision. So the law of conservation simply means total momentum before collision is equal to momentum after collision. So momentum is conserved throughout. Similarly, in our human system also, we conserve this momentum from one joint to other. So just focus on the figure, you will understand. Basically, momentum is basically your mass into velocity. We also call it as inertia multiplied by velocity. Why inertia? Because inertia is dependent on the mass. Higher the mass, higher is the inertia. So simply, this is the expression of mathematical expression of momentum is mass into velocity. Now, total momentum before collision. Now these are the balls. You can see that these four are stationary. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are stationary, means they are not moving. So that means their velocity is 0. So mass multiplied by velocity, whatever mass they have, if we multiply with the v equal to 0, that means 0. So blue ball has 0 momentum, all three reds have 0 momentum. However, the green ball is moving with the velocity v, so it will have m into v momentum. Now they have not collided yet. Okay, so if we total it, 0 0 0 plus mv, so this is the total momentum before collision. Okay, mv. Now this green ball has made impact, it collided with red ball. Now after collision, we'll again see the total momentum. It should remain same. How it will remain same, you will see. Now after collision, the momentum has been transferred. Now this became stationary, green ball. So when it is stationary, v 0, so m into v 0. These are already 0 because they are again stationary. Only one ball showed movement upon collision. So all these three will have 0 0 0 m by v, but this again moved with the velocity, same velocity which was of that, and again we have mv. So the total is again total addition mv. So you can see that mv was the momentum before collision and mv is the momentum after collision. So this is your law of conservation of momentum. So total momentum remains same. So that is the point, that is the message of this slide, and just I want you to remind you in my way so that you can link it proper way. So similarly, momentum in our body is also conserved. So how we create momentum? Basically, muscles supply force and generate momentum in our body, because the source of force inside our body is muscles. Muscle will basically generate force and the momentum will be produced, and then that get transferred across our body parts to execute a particular movement, and in this case we are dealing with the movement which is known as bowling. So ultimately, bowling, the concept behind bowling is generation of momentum and then transfer of momentum, and when the momentum is transferred, velocity is created, velocity is developed. How? I'll let you know in the next slide. So the main message of this slide is that conservation of momentum is the scientific principle behind generation, and conservation of momentum is the scientific biomechanical principle behind bowling. Okay. Now, how it is linked with inertia? So I have told you that momentum is inertia into velocity, and when we write it mathematically, we write it as m into v, because inertia is dependent upon mass. Higher the mass, more is inertia. So inertia is of two types. One is linear inertia. Just follow the arrow if it is the movement is in the linear way. An object is moving linearly in straight path, so it will remain moved, it will keep on moving in this motion until some force is applied. So this is movement linear inertia. So linear inertia is reluctance of body to change its motion. So if it is in the linear motion, it will remain in linear motion till we apply some force to stop it. So this is, Newton law, and this is linear inertia. Similarly, what is angular inertia? Angular inertia is also known as moment of inertia, and it shows a reluctance to rotate. Higher the inertia, it is very difficult. If we have higher angular inertia or higher moment of inertia, then it will be very difficult to rotate. Similarly, if the linear inertia is more, it is very difficult to move that person. Now just focus on these two, one sumo wrestler and one this kid. So definitely this guy has more inertia because of huge weight, he has huge mass, and this guy has less mass, so it has less inertia. So heavy objects are usually harder to move because he's very heavy. So generally it has been seen, it is a basically basic concept that if it is heavy, it can't move faster. Similarly, he is light in weight, he has less inertia, it can be moved easily. So heavy objects are harder to move because they have more inertia, as it depends on the mass. So this guy is heavy, he has more inertia, so he is very difficult to move. Similarly, this guy has less weight, so less inertia, very easy to move. So similarly, lighter objects are easy to move. So this was all about linear. Now just focus on this figure, you will understand the concept of angular inertia. Now basically, higher moment of inertia or higher angular momentum is that in rotation we talk of spreading of weight. Now this is the axis of our rotation, and this is the mass distributed around this axis. So higher the moment of inertia, more is a spreading of mass distribution. Now she has, widen her arms and legs, so she is spreading her weight, right? So with spreading her weight, she is increasing her moment of inertia or angular inertia. So in this instance, she has high angular inertia, so the rotation will be slower. On the other hand, if she wants to rotate faster, she will decrease this spreading like this. Now she has avoided that spreading of mass and hence decreased his moment of inertia or angular inertia, hence she can move faster. So overall message is that if you have more inertia, then you are very difficult to move, and if you have more angular inertia, then you are very difficult to rotate. On the other hand, if you have less inertia, very easy to move, or if you have less angular inertia, you are very easy to rotate. So I think it is clear, inertia concept. Now usually what happens is the momentum is conserved, that I have told you in the last slide. Momentum is always conserved in a moment, right? Law of conservation of momentum. So with the same momentum, the bodies with less inertia will move faster. So this law will link with that. Now this guy has more mass, hence the what is the momentum? Momentum is P equal to m by v. Okay. Now if he transfers his momentum further to a lighter object, so lighter object has less mass. So if we want to fulfill the law of conservation, momentum should remain same. Now in this case, when he was heavy, mass was contributing to this, m into v, mass is high. So earlier, before collision with this guy, he has mv momentum. Now when he pushed him, he transferred his momentum to this small guy, lightweight guy. Now this guy is lightweight, so how he will compensate? He will have more velocity, so that it can equal, so that momentum can be conserved. So this is the idea. The whole message is that if you transfer momentum from heavy object or from heavy body part of ours to lighter body part, then to compensate, to conserve momentum, that lighter part will move faster. So this is the idea of development of velocity. Same thing is happening during bowling. I think you have got some idea, so you will understand in more detail later on. So in this way, momentum basically we basically start movement from the heavier parts like trunk, legs, first of all legs, then trunk, then shoulder, then hand. So hand is the lightest one. So the momentum is traveling from legs, then your trunk, then shoulders, and then hand, and ultimately it is transferring to ball. Ball is the lightest one. So what is happening when we start this way? We are basically transferring the momentum right from the leg to the ball, so that we can develop speed in the ball. So this is the way we ball. Okay, so this was the whole idea behind this. Now order of movements in human body. Heavier, slower segments should move first. So this is the thing I was telling you. So heavier, slower segment should move first to build momentum. Obviously the one who is heavy will move slower. So legs first, then your trunk, these are heavier parts, and then ultimately your shoulder, then elbow, and then arm, and then fingers. So ultimately the ball. So to obey the law of conservation of momentum, lighter segment move faster as momentum is transferred. Why? So I have explained very clearly in the previous slide. So why velocity is more? Because of law of conservation of momentum. Now coming to the bowling. So in the bowling, what is the aim? To get the batsman out of the game. You have to bowl the batsman. This is the main aim of a bowler, right? Now what is the way? How we do that by bowling? We deceive the batsman basically. How we deceive him? By altering the ball speed, by spinning the ball, by some other skill. So all these three tools we use to deceive the batsman, so that our aim is fulfilled, and our aim is to get him bowled or out of the game. So this is, you all know. Now in the bowling we have some phases. There are basically two main phases of the bowling. First one is pre-delivery phase and second one is delivery phase. So this box the red covered is your pre-delivery phase. So it involves run up. First of all, we are dealing with the fast ball, pace bowling. In the pace ball we have a lot of great run up. We have to take a run up and then we deliver the ball. So the pre-delivery phase involves running, and this phase is continuous till front foot contact the floor. So he is running and this is his front foot. So this pre-delivery phase is till this foot contacts the floor. So this is pre-delivery phase, and the main purpose is to generate linear momentum. When you are running, what you are doing, you are basically moving your legs in a way with applying force by your leg muscles and all that. What are you doing? You are generating momentum, linear momentum. Why? Because you are going this way. Okay, so the purpose of pre-delivery phase is to run as fast as possible when we are talking of pace ball, so that we can generate large amount of linear momentum. And this phase is till you contact your first foot on the floor. Then is the delivery phase, first front foot contact until ball release. So once it has contacted the foot till the ball release. So this is the phase, we call it a delivery phase. And what happens here is, when you contact the floor here, you will convert this linear momentum into angular momentum, and this conversion will ultimately involve rotation, because angular momentum involves rotation of your trunk, rotation of your shoulder, then arms, and ultimately finally the ball releases with the help of transfer momentum. Ultimately from the hand, this momentum will be given transfer to the ball, because ball is the lightest one as compared to other body parts. It will have maximum velocity and it will be delivered. So this is the whole concept of bowling. How velocity is developed, I think you have now understood. So just this is the repetition. So velocity is generated as the momentum transfers from heavier segments to the hands, and finally to the ball. As momentum transfer, it can remain same, but velocity will rise to maintain law of conservation. So the thing I have already explained. This is just the repetition. Now we'll talk of pace bowling first. Best technique. So now you all know that there are two phases, pre-delivery phase and delivery phase. So in the fast bowling or the pace bowling, the bowler runs as much fast as possible, the maximum capability, so that he can remain balanced and give maximum. So the main idea is to generate maximum linear momentum. So he's Shoaib Akhtar, very good fast bowler. So just I put that photo so that you can link him. Then after this delivery phase, linear momentum, lot of linear momentum has been created. So if I draw this curve, like this is your time and this is your momentum m. Okay, so in the pre-delivery phase you will create a lot of linear momentum. Okay, so after that this phase will continue till you contact your first front foot. So suppose this is the time where you will contact your first foot with the front foot with the floor. So I put F. So earlier it was increasing, then you have balanced your body so that you can contact the floor with the first your front foot, and then you will transfer the momentum into the angular one here. When you strike your first leg, front leg with the floor, you will conversion will happen from linear to angular in the so this is your delivery phase, this one. So your pre-delivery phase is till F. Okay, now what happens in delivery phase? Linear momentum is converted to angular momentum and some additional momentum is generated. Now this is being converted and some muscular force, your strength abilities also is there, that will apply force and generate another momentum, additional momentum, and this will add up and ultimately you will have this final momentum, and this momentum will be transferred to your ball. I have add up. So this is how the scheme is of pace bowling. The two main things you have to remember and to understand is that For the fast bowling, we need maximum linear momentum so that you can run as fast as possible. And then the delivery phase, you have to efficiently convert that linear momentum into angular momentum so that you can do the rotations. And also you have to generate some more additional momentum so that you can compensate, because we have to make the momentum, we have to conserve the momentum. So for that we have to produce some additional muscular forces also, so that the momentum remains same, and then the same momentum is transferred to the ultimately to the ball, and you deliver the ball. So this is all about pace bowling, and this technique is known as best technique. So there is one another technique for the fast bowling I'll discuss in the next slide. So this is the most common and the widely utilized technique to do the pace bowling. So what are the factors, biomechanical factors, to have this with good performance? First of all, the athlete should be able to run as fast as possible. Faster run-ups are essential, and for that you have to train accordingly, okay, so that you can run faster. So what you will ultimately get, you will get good linear momentum. Second factor biomechanically, which is your this front leg, it should remain straight front legs at ball release. See, there should be no bending. Why? If you remain straight like this, then you have maximum efficiency of conversion of your linear momentum into angular momentum, and if it converts efficiently, that means your rotation will happen, you will get a good range, you will get good trunk flexion, and this is also part of your flexibility. Some anthropometric factors, some genetic factors do exist in the bowlers. Some are more flexible and all that, so that will give you, but the main factor here is faster run-ups, straight leg during the ball release, trunk flexion should be good, and all these factors will ultimately lead to delayed bowling arm. There should be some delay when you deliver the ball, delayed bowling arm, it should not come very fast. So all these factors will ultimately give you the good speed in your bowling, pace bowling. So these are the 4 factors you have to work on. If any of these are lacking, you have to develop that, okay. Now this is the second technique, rotator technique. So earlier was the best technique. This technique is also utilized by some of the players. Why they utilize this? Because all are not same. Nobody can fast. Not everybody can run fast, right? You know that. And not everybody is flexible. Flexibility also varies, running speed also varies. So this is the second technique, so that we can compensate that thing and still we can bowl faster. So what happens in the rotators? We use rotators, shoulder rotators basically. So what happens in the pre-delivery phase, as athletes the one who cannot run faster, they don't run as fast like earlier one, but they will create to some extent a linear momentum, but not as much as which was in the previous case, which was in the best technique case, okay. So here the momentum will be less, linear momentum will be less. So then in the delivery phase, so less of linear momentum is converted to less of angular momentum. So as the generated momentum, linear one is less, so conversion will be also less. But however, due to strength, they have good strength. The bowlers who use this technique usually have very good strength, so that strength will be utilized here in the delivery phase. A good amount of additional momentum is generated by muscular forces, mainly shoulder rotators and to some extent hip muscles also. So they will create that compensation which was lost in this pre-delivery phase if you are using rotator technique. So this is another movement solution for the persons who want to do fast bowling but who cannot give fast run-ups, who cannot have fast run-ups. So this is physics. So you can do some movement corrections, and so this is your rotor technique. This is basically biomechanics. So they have utilized their biomechanics, because they have good strength in their muscles and they are using that strength in the later delivery phase, so that they can maintain momentum and ultimately do the fast bowling. Okay. Now, some additional factors I have to discuss here. There are some genetic advantages in some bowlers, like they get some benefit out of that, and that is very advantageous. Like, see this arm, this is his bowling arm, and see the hyperextension he is making. So this hyperextension of elbow give a lot of advantage in the game. It can lead up to 5% additional rise in the speed. Just 20 degree, approximately 20 degree of hyperextension, extra extension of your elbow provides boost of speed up to 5%. So when you are playing a World Cup, so that is very advantageous, right? So these are some of the genetic factors. There are many players, there are many examples who get benefit like this. Okay. Now there is a question a lot of people ask in the bowling: height matters in bowling or not? If you are taller, so you get advantage or not? What biomechanics say? So you will understand this. So now, up till now, you know that bowling is all about momentum generation and momentum transfer, and you have to conserve momentum, and law of conservation of momentum applies in the bowling. That you now know it in a very clear way, right? Now, heavier persons or taller persons are harder to move because they have more mass. Taller person have more spread out distribution, so inertia is more, so they are very difficult to move as they have more inertia due to heavy mass. Similar, so if they are heavy mass, they have less velocity. So that concept you already know, right? So therefore, strength is the key for the bowling, and strength does not scale linearly with the mass or height. That you have to understand. So what you require in the bowling is the strength, and strength is not related to your weight or your height. It does not vary linearly with these things. If you have more height, then you have more strength. No, a shorter person had more strength than a taller person. So there's no any fixed rule like that. So height does not matter at all. So this is if you talk of physics, if you talk of biomechanics, if you talk of sports science in the terms of biomechanics, height doesn't matter in the bowling. So what matters is be strong and well conditioned. That is the thing you should think about. Okay. Now coming to the last few slides of spin bowling. So spin bowling, basically you all know, this is just another version of rotator technique. So you all know spin bowling, there are two types of spin, off spin, leg spin, right? So in this case, we don't require that much linear momentum. So again, the athletes who are bowling this type of bowling, they don't have that much capability of high speed running, and it is not required to. So no faster run-ups required, as linear momentum is not much required in the spin bowling. So in this case, it is still less than even the rotator technique. Okay. Now everything will happen in the delivery phase. Again, conversion of to angular momentum is not much, because linear momentum in the first phase is also very less. So conversion to angular momentum is still very less. But here, the maximum amount of your muscular strength is utilized, so that you can create a lot of momentum. This is the technique where in the spin bowling, a lot of muscular momentum is created, so that you can compensate and maintain the momentum. And hip muscles and shoulder rotators both contribute extensively in this. In the rotator technique, most of the work is done by shoulder rotators. To some extent, hip muscles do work, but maximum work was done by rotators. That's why we call it as rotator technique. But in the spin bowling, hip muscles also helps. And this is a case of with women bowlers. Women bowlers have very heavy pelvis. So they take advantage of that, and with the help of shoulders they are able to deliver good deliveries in the bowling. So this is just and some spin bowlers males also are there. So what are the factors responsible? In this case also you need good X factor. It is the same that I told you yesterday in the batting lecture, that shoulder and pelvis separation, and it comes by your flexibility, how good you can separate, how big X you can make. So that will help you to generate a lot of momentum with muscles in the delivery phase if you are delivering a spin ball. And here we are talking of off spin, keep in mind, because the movements are altogether different in the leg spin, almost totally opposite. So this one is common factor, you need X factor in both off spin also, leg spin also. But in the off spin you need, this is the difference, pelvis position. Pelvis position during the front foot contact, front on is better. So you can see, notice the pelvis position is towards the front in all are these spin bowlers, and this is required. If they are not towards front on, then their bowling performance will be hampered. So pelvis position during front foot contact should be front on in the case of spin bowling. Good X factor and range of shoulder joint should be good, and that all this things come with your flexibility and use of stress shortening cycle that we have discussed already. And this is all about spin bowling. The main difference is linear momentum is poorest in this one, and maximum job is done by your muscular strength. Okay, and this is just an idea of leg spin. Key factors remain same, but the technique differs. X factor is needed as like spin bowling, but less pelvis and shoulder rotation are required here. Opposite happens in this case. More of wrist kinematics takes place when we are talking of leg spin, and less of pelvis and shoulder. So this is the difference. So as you can see, a lot of work is being done on this case right now. So more research is being done to explore more things, more details about this kind of bowling and all that. And one thing is clear, that both of these bowling techniques, spin ball, off spin and leg spin, are different techniques are utilized, and they should be trained differently. Okay, so thanks a lot. That is about your bowling. Thank you.